This podcast is brought to you by Big Motoring World, one of the UK's largest used car supermarkets. To verify and find out more, go to bigmotoringworld.co.uk. First today, a reminder that the best health and wellness advice I can give you is to click our subscribe button on YouTube. Nothing is more important than your health. So do yourself a huge favour, click subscribe now, and in return, I'll make sure you receive health tips that you can trust and rely on every week. Now, my guest this week has spent over 5 decades rocking stages and bending strings. Now he's telling the stories behind the songs in his own way. Unplugged, unscripted, and very much unfiltered. Welcome, Francis Rossi, OBE. Good morning. How the devil are you? Are you well?
I'm not bad. I was going to say I'm fine. What was it again? Hang on.
Yeah, that one. Insecure, neurotic and emotional with the F word in the front. That's what people mean when they say fine. But you look very well. I mean, a young man of, 76 now?
Yeah, that gets to me most morning. My wife asked me when we have coffee at about 7:30. She said, how are you today? I go, well, it's in the morning as I get, what the am I doing? And how one's going to last too much longer. And I can't get that out of my mind, whatever I do. So I'll be all right as the day goes on. I'm going into the studio in a while, and a little, and then I look forward to the next meal, and that's it, really.
Well, you were strumming the guitar, but as we were warming up just now, yeah. You've got it with you. So you never stop, do you, really?
No, it's one of those things. When I married my current wife, she doesn't appreciate that joke. She doesn't get it, American. And she played 1 or 2 instruments recently, but I thought, well, I need to practice more. And so I started practicing quite diligently when I was about 38. And I have to do that every day, some form of it. I've done vocal exercises already this morning, because although we've been off 2 weeks, we go back in September-ish. And I'm always paranoid about not being ready. In fact, I'm dreaming at the moment of walking on and I don't have a guitar and I don't know what to say to the audience. And
well, it's unbelievable that you think like that after all the experience you've got, going back to 1962 when you started off, that you still feel that you need to rehearse and get nervous before a show. It's incredible.
Well, I think that's the alternative to being a smug bastard, really. I don't, thinking, oh, I'm fine, they'll love me. And I've heard many people in my position or relative positions have that sort of approach. So, no, I'll be fine. It'll be, they'll love me. And it's a show busy thing. And whether that's their own facade, mine is sort of insecurity, I think. So I will be doubly sure and expect things to go wrong.
Yeah. Well,
I always expect the worst.
Well, you set high standards for yourself, and that's why you've done so well. How many? 123 million albums sold worldwide?
This week.
You wish.
I'm not sure. Again, I'm in a position where I tell a lot more truth than I perhaps used to, and I'm not sure if that's true. It gets read out every time I'm wheeled out or we're wheeled out. Yeah, I think it's something like that.
Well, it's extraordinary.
But I also have this thing. If there's roughly 7 billion people on the planet, let's say there was 6 billion when we first broke, and we would sell, I don't know, if we did sell 120 million records, do you realise how many people on the planet didn't buy it and don't like us?
Oh, yes.
But we are. That's me all the time.
It's half glass empty there.
Yeah.
But now I've got to talk about your rock and roll lifestyle when we talk about health, and you've been very open about that in the past. But here you are, looking fit and healthy. But I think in the 1980s, you did enjoy a rock and roll lifestyle. Did it take its toll?
I suppose there was a guy once I met on a breakfast television who taught me to do a press up with one arm and gave me a hernia after that. We went away him. Yeah, I suppose.
Nice guy.
It's interesting because I openly say that we were in Montreal with Queen having a meal in a Mexican restaurant. It was fabulous. And John Coughlin was pushing me to have a drink. And people who don't drink always have a drink. I don't like the taste of the stuff. That's why I put lemonade in and drink, and then I drink too much. But I had 6 margaritas. now I know why everybody's right. You can't, there's an improv and it's Nathan Stone. And that led me to, there was a period when cocaine was about, and people would have a snort, oh, no, the pushing powder up your nose. And, talking like that for ages. But if the bravado that alcohol gives one, I just say, yeah, go on. And that was a slippery slope. And then I sort of got lost for 5 or 6 years, I believe. Yeah.
I mean, you talk about being sort of nervous before you go on stage, and with the tour coming up now. Do you think it's that bit of insecurity that led you to using alcohol and cocaine at the time? Did it give you a confidence? Did it sort of give you that bravado?
I don't think for showbiz there's something else in me that goes on, the insecure little show off. And particularly in the shows I do now, the audiences are between sort of 5 and 1,000, 500 and 1,000. And there's something, I used to hear people talk about the intimacy and stuff. Intimacy to a Catholic boy is something entirely different. And now I feel that now. You can sense the room. There's something really wonderful about that. But I go out there, I think, and I stand at the stage waiting to go, thinking, and I go. And something happens, you know when we're talking, and then you go to camera when you're on in the morning. You become whatever it is you become. But I think I need that thing for an then saying, we like you, and it validates my existence and so on. Bit like that, I think.
Sure. And I don't know if it's true, but on Wikipedia, it tells us that you famously showed during a TV interview that a hole in your nasal septum that cocaine had caused.
I don't know. I'd pick you up on that. Is there another septum? You're teaching me something here.
Oh, there's a septum in your heart. Whenever there's a divide in an organ, a septum just means a partition, really.
I learned something. Thank you for that.
Well, this is what the programme's for.
Yes. Yes, I did. And people think I'm doing it to be, I don't know, show off it. I suppose I am in some way, but it's like, look, this is, because people always say to you, oh, rock and roll. And then when you display it, they go, oh, I ain't what I asked for.
Yeah, but I think you did it to teach younger people about the...
Well, it was. The guy came up to me not long after. Oddly, he worked for the News of the World. And he said, thanks for that. So what he said, I've got an 11-year-old nephew that he said had been possibly getting near that. He said, and it freaked him out. And it does freak people out because we hear about various stars that have had a septum replaced and so on, a sleeve put in and so on. And we think, oh, yeah, rock and roll. I mean, we all do that bullshit, rock and roll. When it comes to telling people the truth about it, they go, oh. And so I thought, well, look, you see, I can put a cotton bud up there and pull it through. And it really grosses people out. Good. So don't be glamorizing the thing, which we do with rock and roll and musicians and actors and so on. They have this debauched life. Isn't that fabulous? No, it's a debauched life. They turn up places paralytic, drunk and throwing up and doing all sorts of unacceptable behaviour. And yet we go, oh, isn't he great? No, he's a dickhead. You just happen to like him or her in their professional capacity.
Was there a phase where you used to smash up guitars and break up TV sets? you were well behaved, better behaved than that.
No, there's never been. Again, I learned that very early. Only lost somebody in the band smashed up one place one time. And you sit there in the morning and go, so the television and the settee, that's 3,000, thank you. And so all this, the people I heard when I was growing up who drove cars into this and set deck, floors on in Los Angeles and making all this stuff. You pay for it in the morning.
I bet you do.
What's so clever or rock and roll about that? Yeah. He threw it out the window and he paid for it in the morning.
But Francis, you're teetotal now, I understand.
Yeah, well, I always wasn't. Yeah. If it's got anything taste that I like, I will drink and drink and drink. I eat and eat and eat. And I have to really temper all those things. I'm a pig.
But also you said in the past that with rock and roll you have to engage physically. It's part of rock and roll.
Yeah.
The energy has to come from somewhere. It's part of the genre. And you had enormous energy on stage. Where did you keep fit? I mean, where did that energy come
Yes,
from?
I do. I started when I was in Moscow. Before I was in Moscow, I was with Bernadette's mum, my first daughter, and I'd started doing crunches and various sit-ups and press-ups. I still got the hair on here. I won't say it.
No, that awful doctor on TVAM.
Yeah, and all those kind of things. I still do them now. I got to do them today, and I'm thinking, I don't feel like it today, and I haven't swum today, and I do all those things, and I set them up so that if I get some of them done, I feel better about myself each time. It's the day I don't do anything unless I've made a mind I'm going to rest today. So all those things make me feel better, whether it's just a psychological thing. I've done my crunches, I've done this, I've done, and I feel better. I've eaten properly. I try and eat more and more carefully. More recently, I've cut down milk as much as I can. I found out milk and cheese make this go on, and I've done that since I was 15. That's sort of that men do.
Yeah.
How do I do it? And where's that gone? So all these things to clean up, which become boring.
I don't think so. I don't think ever.
No, I'm saying I hear that when people say, "Oh, it's boring." Will you please yourself? I need to feel, whether it's that little Catholic kid wanting to please his mum, his dad, whatever it.
Yeah.
By giving up, I didn't want to give up cheese. I love cheese, and I slowly. It doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
I love cream. I love all those things.
Yeah.
I'm cutting them out more and more and more and more and more, and I find our system becomes quite sensitive, perhaps as it was in the first.
Yeah, we always have to listen to our bodies. Now, what was your inspiration into music in the first place? What made you pick up a guitar and start singing and playing?
We heard that as a kid, but then I realised See, I saw your head start going there.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's something about music that I've seen with various children. I have various children from 1 to 8, and
8,
and other people's children that suddenly they're gone. And it's still like that with me now. So when I'm doing these shows, I said, talk to my wife in the morning, what's wrong? I'm thinking I've got this old and so on. When I'm on doing that gig, I'm a bit like, it was a comedian, never got on stage, Stiddyman, what's his name? Ken Dodd.
Ken Dodd.
Ken Dodd would never get off the stage. I'm getting very much like that. People are nodding off in the audience, all the prostate boys want to go for a wee and they're all trying to get out. And I can't, I enjoy it that much.
Yeah.
And then I go back to being him, that ordinary. I'm a mess, to be real honest.
No, I mean, it's great that you've still got that enthusiasm and that passion. Because all your children are musicians, aren't they?
All but one have some musical thing. Yeah, like I forget what number he is. He's very much a chef, and he's very much American. And the rest of them all have something. One of them's a studio engineer. My number 3 son was in a band for a while with number 4. And number 4 is a very good singer and player, but all cannot face it on their own.
Okay.
So, yeah, most of them do something.
Well, I always remember that I first met you with Rick in the Gents at TVAM. I looked over my shoulder, and there we were doing the same thing at the urinal, and I said hello to each other. That's when I first met you. So
do that though, don't they? I mean, women are just as bad. You can hear them in the cubicle.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that was rather surreal for me, and it must have been around that time I introduced you to the one-handed press up. Then
it was sort of that time. I always remember seeing you. And this isn't getting up your doughy there. You just look like a reasonable fellow, and I think you had that likable thing about you. To people go, oh, he's all right. I like him.
Oh, that's very.
Hello, you're right. Whereas if you didn't look all right, you'd have got the serious blank. Oh, Rick, we are like, or were like that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were with Rick for what, 50 years?
I met Ricky on the 29th of May, 1965.
Wow.
First wife, and then 3 minutes later, Rick. And my life went pear-shaped ever since. Yeah, and we were really, 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 really close, fabulously close. And I dream sometimes about that time and then wake up and realise that we'd drifted somewhat for whatever reasons. Terrible reasons.
You must miss him. I think he had a heart attack, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a couple. He had a load of them. He had one of everything.
Did he? Yeah.
Oh, if there was one going, he'd have it and go for it again. And there was one thing that one of the surgeons had said to him, whether it was true. Oh, he said, it's like having a reborn an engine. You're fine now. You'd be fine for miles. He said, well, drink. He said, oh, just as you only have 1 or 2 glasses of wine. To a serious drinker like that, there are no 1 or 2 glasses of wine.
No.
And he just kept going. And him and I drifted more and more apart because of that. There was this, we were so different by the time we were older.
Yeah. And he's got twins, isn't he?
Okay.
Yeah, twins.
Yeah. Mother, Tommy and Lily. Delightful.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, they come to see me occasionally. Delightful.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So, what would be your favourite song? Could you pick a favourite song? I mean, you're famous for so many.
No, I don't. It's a sad thing that somebody else should pick one, because I find it very difficult. I'm asked that question so often. What's your favourite film? Go on. One film in your lifetime? One favourite?
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult.
It's not difficult. It'd be very sad to say that's the one.
Yeah.
I've got some Gene Wilder pictures on the wall in here, and I like Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
But it's comedy.
I know what you mean. I know it. And of course, I grew up listening to you guys. You know, so Pictures of Matchstick Men. I think I would have been about 13 at the time, but it's still in my head. I could sort of sing all the words, but I won't.
No, don't go there.
I won't go there. But no, so many hits. You know, and you're still going strong.
Yeah, ish. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I said to you, I temper that with. One of my eldest son sent me a clip the other day he said, you're being very guarded in some documentary. And I remember I saw a clip of it and I find it very difficult to watch. But this person opened with the fact that, you know, you're seen as a joke, aren't you? I said, well, yeah. So it's what I said to you. You said glass half full or half empty, which yeah, but that's how people look. I've seen that ever since Matchstick Men. The people say, they're a bunch of dickheads, or it's only 3 chords, they're not very good. Him and the blonde fella, funny, but they can't be real musicians, they wouldn't be that funny, and so on. And so that goes in as much as you can try to be impervious to it. It goes in there. And so I figure it's better for me to view life from that point of view. But anything from that is a plus. Oh, I like your new record. Fantastic.
Yeah. No, I think it's actually endearing that you're able to to take the rise out of yourself a little bit, not take yourself too seriously. I think that's really important in life.
Yeah, I feel that way, yeah, because I think there are far too many of us that take us. But it's understandable in show business because you read your bio and you think, blimey, am I that good? And so some actors I find they're interesting because they actually want to pretend to be somebody else for a while.
Yeah, it's good to keep grounded, isn't it? You mentioned films earlier. You actually made a film, didn't you? Down in Fiji, is that right? Don't talk about that one.
It was great. It was a learning experience. I really enjoyed doing it, but it started out as going to be quite. So Rick and I were going to think, yeah, we had these promo clips where we dive through the air into flames with a gun. Be fantastic.
Yeah.
Then the people that were backing it realised that Rick and I are more like Morecambe and Wise, so it was scripted from that point of view. And I believe if they'd let us do whatever we were doing on camera, we usually could be quite funny.
Yeah.
To some people.
Yeah.
They would try to script the funnies. And there was other actors and such where Rick and I might clip into he's just getting to my, he came into my line, he wets my line down, I'm supposed to. So all this was going on. There's no criticism against anybody. That was him and I used to, once you're on camera, we used to do that thing. I don't even know what it was, because people would say, can you do that thing? And we go, what thing? You shouldn't have told us to do it. It's like when they say in the photograph, smile, I go,
yeah, it's got to be spontaneous, isn't it?
yeah, for us, yes.
We'll take a short break there. This programme is brought to you by Big Motoring World, one of the UK's largest used car supermarkets. Big Motoring World checks vehicle pricing regularly to give you their best price guaranteed. With a wide choice of vehicles and a focus on customer service, Big Motoring World supports drivers through each step of the process, from browsing to handover. Their stated aim is to be, in their words, big on what matters to you. Search bigmotoringworld.co.uk to verify and to find your nearest store. That's bigmotoringworld.co.uk. Now, you wrote an autobiography called I Talk Too Much. Where did that title come from?
I was being asked to do a book, and they get Mick Ward to do it. And I said, I wrote the thing. I had nothing to do with writing it. I sat here and he sat over there, and we talked, and we recorded stuff, got a book. But I was sitting in, we call this my music room, and I was sitting playing guitar. And Russell Brand was on TV. I know we mustn't talk, sorry. And I was watching him. I thought, yeah, you're allowed. I don't like you because women like you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm listening to him. And there was a point where people were saying, well, he's got things to say. And perhaps he shouldn't. But no, run for election if you want to talk that way. And I thought, well, no, you're entitled to have an opinion. And so I was doing this thing about, I was doing that. And I got the melody, and then I thought, I talk too much. I thought, he talks too much. I talk too much. And it made a great song, and I'm very proud of the song.
Yeah.
And I figured he had a right, as the rest of us do. People tell me, if you have a political opinion, vote, do this, do that. They'll say, up yours. I'll have my opinion if I'm.
Yes, yeah, it's good.
You're allowed to have an opinion about me, and it's very low, so bog off, really.
Yeah.
It's nice. Just,
yeah.
So, yes, I talk too much, and it made for a great book, a great album, and
yeah. Now, one of the sad things...
The tour I'm doing now, sorry, yeah.
No, that's all right. One of the sad things about getting older, and you and I both getting older, we're not too far apart in years, is hair starts...
81 now, surely.
Yeah, thank you for that. The hair starts to get a bit thin, and sadly, the ponytail had to go, I hear.
I don't think you want the story.
No, I do.
Thin at the back, and it was more like a rat's tail, you know. And the lady that looks after, had been there 28 years now, used to line up the ponytail and put the thing on it. And then I'd be dressed, or I get dressed probably an hour before we're on, and the bloody thing had drifted over like Judith Durham. You know where Judith Durham used to have it one? I hated that. Kept pushing it back. Then we were going to get a false one. And then I thought, well, I'm going to cut it off. And it was liberating in as much. So I felt wild, and look at people are pointing, look at that man over there without a ponytail. And I find that it was liberating, yes. But this business, this reclaimed it. You moved closer there, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
That's where it was reclaimed. And what people don't realise is, look, these two bits carry on doing what they're going to do. And they're reclaimed.
So you had a little bit of, did you have a bit of the follicular extraction process?
Very much so, yes.
Did you? It's good. It's good.
I had two or three, but I remember David Walker, a manager of ours, and somebody had said to him that I was a bit low, and he said, what's the matter? I said, nothing. And he said, you're a bit low. I said, who told you that? Because I knew he didn't notice. And he said, why do you have a hair transplant? What? I hadn't thought about anything wrong with my hair at that point. I was in a dressing room. What's wrong with the hair? So I went and had a hair transplant, and from then on, I was thinking about you. I thought, you don't bother about your hair. Don't mean that in a rude way. You're quite happy with it. I see you. I don't have a judgment. I go, yeah, sorry, he looks fine to me. And ever since then, I've been checking it out. I've put stuff on it this morning so it doesn't look too much like Sven-Göran Eriksson with my paternal grandfather had.
Yes. Yeah,
I don't want Sven-Göran bit.
No, I mean, these days, those procedures are really effective. They're much, much better than they used to be.
We're not selling, I'm sorry.
And they're very popular,
I know. I've got one son that's had one done. I've got an engineer friend that's had them done. And the point being, we cannot know what, as I said, that these two bits do. They're going to do what they... Whereas I used to probably have and I was a boy, and it's desperately, when I come out of the shower, you can see this young boy's haircut appearing that I used to go into when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Not as I want that mafiosi look. It's not going to go there.
No, I had the Cliff Richard quiff at the front.
Yes.
And when we used to wear Brill cream.
Yes, with Brill cream. I'll never do it, rub it in, and then... and then the Brill cream in the comb because you put too much.
That's right.
Just the muck in the ear. It was grey, the Brill cream, I remember. So,
how fashions have changed, eh?
Yeah.
And you were rewarded. You got your OBE back in. Where's the OBE? Not so long ago.
Don't remember.
For services to music.
It must be 10 years or so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I've always said they're a bit. We don't really deserve them. And I learned at that time, after meeting her, Madge, who I thought was a delightful woman. I wasn't really a royalist. I'm still not, but meeting her, it's just something else, that woman.
She was extraordinary, wasn't she?
Yes. And then I realised that people like ourselves and subsequent people like myself and himself, people will say, oh, I love them too, or I can't stick them too. What's it coming to? They'll give it away to anybody now. But it raises the profile of the honours system, so perhaps that's okay.
No,
we deserve it.
It's absolutely okay, and you did deserve it. So what's next, Francis, for you? That you've got the tour coming up. Tell me a little bit about that. What you're going to do?
Well, you said next. I'm going to have some tuna with avocado or sourdough.
Excellent choice.
I go out again in September, and we go until November-ish. Then I'm writing for a possible album with the girl I did Talk Too Much album with. And then we go out again in April into Ireland, I think. We're starting to go into Europe with it. Now, I'm already panicking on that because I'm obviously very English in the humour and the Jack the Lad stuff. It's not going to work in Germany, is it? Now I'm starting to think the song we finished side one with, so I could get to sleep and start thinking about it. But I will walk. I've learned this in the last few years. You're going to walk. And you walk, and then something happens. He goes and does, and something happens.
Yeah.
But the songs and the way we got the set seems to be very, very well received. So I shall lean on that, and I enjoy it immensely. But I'm looking forward to Christmas and sitting by the fire and doing my rituals.
You've got to remember that the Germans laughed at hello, hello, so they've got to have a sense of humour somewhere.
Very good. I should take that with me.
Take that with you. Take that with you. Well, look, I want you to, thanks so much for coming on.
No problem.
Keep up the good work.
If you'll come to the funeral, will you?
Of course I will. Keep up the exercise.
I will.
Listen to your doctors. And next time we meet, it probably won't be in the urinal at TVAM.
I'll see you at work somewhere. I've hopefully got to do that again soon.
Exactly. I look forward to seeing you. And I look forward to hearing that the tour has been successful. And thank you very much.
Thank you. You take care.
Take care, Francis. Take care. Bye now. Don't forget, you can watch all my interviews on the Dr. Hilary Show YouTube page, including my recent conversation with consultant oncologist Dr. James Wilson.
If you have a mole that's changing, so the checklist for melanoma is the A, B, C, D, E. I'm sure you talked about your patients about this all the time. So A, if you're seeing any change in the appearance of your mole, you need to get it checked.
Yeah.
B stands for border. If the border of a mole has become irregular, you need to, or sometimes it just gets a bit blurry, it becomes a bit indistinct, go and see your doctor and have it checked out. C's for colour. And people think, oh, it's not getting darker, so it can't be serious.
No.
But actually, melanomas can become paler. You can see new colours being introduced. So like a bluey tinge or a reddy tinge, that's important and needs to be checked. D's for diameter. And the rule of thumb for this is that pencil, the rubber at the end of your pencil.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
If your mole is of the diameter of that rubber, it probably needs to come off and be checked out.
And for more information and show notes on all our programmes, go to drhilaryjones.com.